Scoochie everybody, it's a great fantabulous day here in paradise, and today I want to make a video on Python while loops. And it's just going to be another tutorial in Python. Geesh, I need to figure out a way to come up with a more creative beginning. Maybe I'll add some awesome intro if I can ever figure out how to do any video effects. But without further ado, I'm in Eclipse right here, and let's do some while loops in Python. So a big thing in programming is you need to be able to do things repeatedly. A great thing about a computer is that it can repeatedly do things and not get bored. For instance, when you sign into Facebook, a computer doesn't care if you sign into Facebook, sign out, sign in, sign out, immediately within 5 seconds of each other. But if you go into an amusement park, someone may get really annoyed, for instance, if you went to amusement park, went in, went out, went in, went out 6 times. The person just may get bored or irritated with you. Well, a computer doesn't care about that. And that's what's really awesome about a computer, is that in some ways, it's not human. In a lot of ways, it's not human. And we can use that to our advantage. And so one way to do that is to repeat things. So I'm going to start out my example program by declaring a variable called x. And I'm going to declare x equal to 5. And now I'm going to use the while loop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a program that while x is less than 100, I am going to add 5 to it. So I'm going to do this with the keyword while. That's why it's called a while loop, because looping means doing something repeatedly. And so it's called a while loop because that is, that's the main keyword you do it. So I'm going to do while x is less than 100. And now I need a colon to indicate to Python that, hey, this is a loop. This is a looping structure, or this is a conditional structure, while, if, else, and not really a conditional structure, but any structure in Python, something that needs an indentation will really need a colon following it. An indentation is a way to show inclusion in Python. So everything that's indented after this while loop will be included within this while loop. I'll try to make that a little more clear as we go along. So while x is less than 100, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5 to x. Now I can do it this way. I can do x equals x plus 5, or I can do x plus equals 5. Both of these lines do the same thing. X plus equals way is just a faster way of writing what this means. The plus equals means take the value of x and add 5 and reassign it back to x. It does the same thing. Lines 6 and 7 are exactly identical, no caveats, no nothing. I just like to do this way because that's the way the pros do it. So while x is less than 100, I am going to add 5 to it. So while it's less than so what's going to happen is, in this while loop, I'll put a space down here just to make it nice, more readable, is that x is going to be set equal to 3, and then it's going to say while x is less than 100. Is 3 less than 100? Yes. So x is going to add 5 to it. So x is going to be 8, and then it's going to go back up to this while loop and check the condition again. Is x less than is 8 less than 100? Yes, it is. So it's going to keep on adding. And it will keep on doing that till it gets to above 100, until this condition fails. So it will add one more time, I believe. Let's see. So it's going to add to be 100. So it's going to add 100. So it's going to get to 103 and then go to this while loop and say, oh, 103, is that less than 100? No, it's not. That's false. And then it's going to continue. It's going to break out of the while loop. And so it's going to go to line 7. It's going to go right here, and it's going to continue with the execution of the code and eventually print out x. So let me click the run button and run this code, and you'll notice it in the terminal right here. And I get 103 just like I said. So that's what happened with the code, is that because I was able to indent, because I had this code indented, it happened within the while loop. Now let's say I did something different here. Let's say I made this minus equals 5, something you could also do, which just would take the value of x, minus it by 5, and then assign it back to x. What would happen here is, well, what do you think would happen here? Would x ever be greater than 100? Let me run this. So what's happening now, well, I guess it's really hard to see, is that I did run the program, and I'll make this a little bit more clear. This is why I'm going to add a print x here. What I created is something called an infinite loop. So what's happening here is I'm running my program, and all these values are getting printed out on the screen. All these values that are decrementing by 5 here, and we're going down an insane amount. Let me stop the program. And the program is never going to terminate because these numbers are not greater than 100. So what I did is I created an infinite while loop, because my while loop condition never meets a terminating state. So you always want to make sure your while loops always meet a terminating state, which is very important. Your common program. I'm sorry about this brown, guys. It looks kind of poopy. Trying to add some funniness to these videos. I know they can be grueling and tons of boring, but I love you guys and I love making these videos for you guys. So I have this infinite loop because within my while loop structure, within the indent, there's nothing that is going to help me get above 100, help my x get above 100. Now, if I did plus equals, that fixes all my problems, as we saw. And I'll do that here. And as you can see here, I got all these values to print out. And can I bring the screen up more? Let's try it. Okay, yes. 103, 28. Okay, cool. Sweet. You guys get to see more of my screen. I use Eclipse to do Python. It's really nice. And so, isn't that awesome? And let me just bring it back a little bit. And so, there you go. So that's something very important to understand, is that the while loop, blah, 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 is that I am going through the while loop and I am keep doing everything in the indentation, and when the while loop condition ends, when it's false, it breaks out and then goes back to one indent less than that indent. So then it goes back and it can execute line 9, so line 9 will finish. So that's why when I print this out, when I get rid of that, I just get the 103 because the while loop finishes and then this prints out. And something also I want to kind of testify or show in Python, I don't know my vocab, I didn't pay attention to SAT class, is that in Python you can kind of do, unlike other programming languages, which if you haven't learned in other programming languages, that's perfectly okay, just pay attention and whatever, is that in Python you can do statements like this, which are perfectly viable in math. So I can put x between two numbers. So I can say while 50 is less than or equal to x, and basically x is less than 100, keep incrementing x by 5. And now if I run this while loop, I get 3. And the reason is it said while 50 is less than or equal to x. Is 50 less than x? No, it's not. So this while loop never goes in once. It doesn't increment because it checks up here once. It says false, goes to line 7, goes to line 8, and then it just prints out the 3 you see right there. Boom. So that's something really cool you can do in Python. And I can remember this is 50 is less than or equal to, and this is just x is less than. So this x is, if x was 100, it would be false because 100 is not less than 100. 100 is equal to 100. So that is important to understand. What else can I show you guys? That's about it for now. That's about everything I want you to understand with the while loop. Is you want to understand that everything you indent after you do anything with a colon is, part of that place. So if I also wanted to do an if statement here, if I do if, x is equal to, 23, I then print, hey. I print out, hey, I want to make sure now I have 2 indents in my code because I'm going to say this if statement is a part of this while loop, and this print statement is a part of this if statement with a colon. So I do another tab. That's what I'm talking about, is that every kind of structure I'm going to include another tab. I'm going to include another tab whenever you have a colon, the next line should be tabbed over if you want that included in. And then let's say I had another thing that would be here, and I could say let's do x minus equal 1. And what that does is, if you notice, this x minus equals 1 is not indented. So that means, I hate that brown, I gotta stop that, is not part of this if statement here. Only this print is part of this if statement because it's indented. That is important to understand. This x minus equals 1 and this x plus equals 5 are part of this while loop because they follow the indentation lines with this while loop. And this print statement is a part of this if statement, which is contained also within the while loop, but this print statement will only execute if the if statement is true, while lines 9 and line 6 will always execute. Do I get any different output? I still get 3 because the while loop doesn't execute at all. I can make this 1 and then makes it execute. Ooh, we got 103. So that's pretty awesome, right? And I think if I get rid of this, we'll print out hey too. Yeah, so we printed out hey because 23 plus 5 plus 20, which is a multiple of 5 eventually lets this hey execute right here, and it only got executed once. So that's pretty cool, guys. I hope you understand while loops. You can also just do regular conditions like this, and I hope you guys have a great day. Post if you have any questions. I love helping people. I love if you have questions. Have a great day, and life's a beach. Just go swimming all day long. See you guys. If I can click the stop button.